I will move on to the next speaker before Gustavo starts shouting at me. And our next speaker is Kosmas, and I'm going to say Gazeas, and I apologize if I got that wrong.
You got it right.
Got it right? Oh, that's fantastic. I get about 1 in 3 I get right. Kosmas is going to speak to us, he's going to speak to us about a project called Planets in Your Hand.
Exactly.
If you're ready.
Sure.
So we hear you. Are you going to share? Yeah. Okay.
I'm sharing my screen. Can you see?
Yep, all good.
Okay.
It's all yours.
So good morning, everybody from Athens, Greece. This is the Planets in Your Hand team from the University of Athens in Greece. And myself and Maria Panagopoulou, who is sitting next to me, we are going to present you our basic results from our project. And of course, to introduce you a little bit about what is the Planets in Your Hand project. The Planets in Your Hand project started as a public outreach team at the University of Athens with me as a coordinator, and together with my students, my team, that includes undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate students from the University of Athens from different background levels, from the physics, mathematics, philosophy, chemistry, or whatever they are. And this project is supported by the section of astrophysics and several educational foundations like the Evgenidis Foundation in Greece. Our idea initially was to construct planetary surface models in wooden frames, as you see the basic design that we did in the beginning back in 2017. And these frames were intended to give the visual and tangible representation of the 8 planets of our solar systems. The innovation of our idea was that these models can be exhibited in schools, universities, and institutes, and can act as a portable exhibition. So we can move the exhibition in different schools and institutes in order to share the knowledge in astronomy in remote places. In order to do that, we built the models with different and several materials like gypsum, clay, paint, varnish within a wooden frame. And the innovation, as I said in the beginning, is that you can actually touch the surface. So we try to convince the visitors not just to see and listen to us talking about the planets, but actually touch the planets and feel the surface of all the planetary environments. The models were carefully designed, especially for children and visually impaired audience, in order to see and feel the planetary surface, in order to have the impression of the wide range of environmental properties, like difference in temperature from planets which are close to the sun and the gaseous planets far away from the sun, and the light variations. That's why we added artificial illuminations around the frames, the wind environments by adding fans from the sides, as well as address the major difference between the gaseous and terrestrial planets, or put a small item with a known scale, like a car or a building, in order to give the actual scale of the size of the mountain or a crater, which is well known in a planet. So this is the results. Each frame is like a 2 by 3 feet size, which is like 60 by 85 centimeters wide. You can put both of your hands and feel the 3-dimensional structure of planets. Here you see an example of planet Mars, for example. You see part of a crater at the bottom left, some mountains, the big volcanoes and valleys that Mars have. As an example here, I show you a comparison of an actual image of the planets together with the planetary models, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune. Even on gaseous planets where you don't have any 3-dimensional ground, we use the paint, a thick paint, in order to see and have the feeling of the structure of the clouds. And even blind people could actually follow the structure of the clouds by the touch of the fingertips. Our project targets people who are interested in virtual tours in our solar system, and this of course includes families with children, young students, school classes, and any kind of educational institutes. But most important, what is our main goal is to focus on visually impaired people who never had the chance to had any visual presentation or visual chance to visit the planet or have the feeling how big is a mountain or a crater, and people with special needs, of course, and in general, all the audience independently on the background in astronomy. So it's not necessary to have a background in astronomy, because the planets, the planetary models are not presented by themselves. We have all the members of Planets in Your Hands team next to the planet, so they speak about the model that they have in front of them. They interact with the visitor, they give information, they answer to their questions. So we have this kind of interaction. So we learn by listening, by seeing, by touching, and by interacting with our team members. The program acts as an alternative way of learning about the solar system, which is adding already to the available educational material, like books, website, or other kind of material. And what is most important is that astronomy is not taught in Greek schools since 2014. And I think we are in the similar case like in India, after listening to what Mila said before. Unfortunately, this is a fact that Greek schools in all levels of education are not teaching astronomy anymore. So the only way of teaching astronomy, the first time that a student can learn about astronomy and astrophysics is at the university level, especially if they follow physics department astronomy section. These events that we have already done include several kind of activities, like social events like Researchers' Night, World Space Week every October, science festivals like the Athens Science Festival that we have here in Greece, and special events organized at the HOS Institute, which is the University of Athens. As the exhibition is portable, we can move actually all the models to schools, so we can visit remote places outside the city of Athens. And in a few weeks, we're going to visit one of the remote islands in Greece, which is called Kastelorizo, which is very far away from the city center, from the center of Greece. Here I show you some of photos during the activities. Here you see myself and my team with the exhibitions presented at the Evgenidis Foundation in Athens. Our participation in several conferences gave us the opportunity to spread the word about the Planets in Your Hand project, and we received several awards, like after participating at the conference of EPSC in Berlin in 2017, we got the Outstanding Student Poster Award for our presentation, which was made from our team members, the students. We received the Science Communication Award back in 2017 in the field of awareness activities and campaigns. And this is going on, of course. You can understand that the last year, 2020, was a bit weird with the pandemic. We couldn't have this interaction with our visitors, but we did several remote activities, like several talks or direct links with the observatory in order to give them the opportunity to visit remotely an observatory and look through a telescope for our visitors and students. And here I show you some of the moments of participation in conferences. This is in Berlin in 2018. And now we will move to the next part of our presentation by Maria, who is going to give you the visitors' impressions and what is the feedback that we got from the 4 year of running this project. Maria.
Hello, everybody. So Planets in Your Hand exhibition is considered a non-formal educational activity. Informal learning has been an ambiguous topic for the results that it has for the students, but it is considered that even an improvement in participants' attitudes towards science can be considered a success. Especially astronomy can be considered a privileged field for informal education, as it triggers the interest of the public. It has concerned humanity since the ancient time because it is connected with big questions and an exotic beauty that we don't see down on Earth. And we can see that astronomy is connected with non-formal education since the 1920s, when the planetariums have been already considered an educational tool. Usually science communication programs require vision, so they're based on vision, and they're not suitable for people with visual impairment. So there are very few documented efforts of programs that address the visually impaired, and that's what we wanted to succeed with Planets in Your Hand exhibition. It is also important to mention that the adjustment to the needs of visually impaired people does not mean that the activity becomes not suitable or not beneficial for someone with normal vision. So the team decided to gather some data in order to examine if the exhibition is a positive and fruitful experience for the visitors, and to find possible ways to improve its presentation. Questionnaires with multiple choice questions in the comment section were filled out by the visitors after they had completed the conceivable journey to our solar system through the models that Kosmas showed you before. This happened during two major events. The one was the opening of the exhibition on March 2019 that was organized by Planets in Your Hand team and conducted to the University of Athens at the Department of Physics. And the second was the Athens Science Festival 2019, which is considered the biggest celebration of science here in Greece. Also, the members of the Planetary Hand team that presented the planetary surfaces made direct observation in every event, and which were based on the reactions and the comments of the visitors that happened right at the moment. From the questionnaires, we concluded that the majority of the visitors were young, and more specifically under 23 years old. Almost all the visitors were pleased with the Planets in Your Hand exhibition. They were thrilled, actually, and they would recommend it to their friends. 47 of the questionnaires included positive comments about the presentation from the members and the exhibition itself. And some of them were parents and educators that believed that this project can trigger new generation to engage with astrophysics and science in general. So the observations that the presenters had led to some interesting conclusions, such as that people without astrophysical background were actually very curious to touch the surface, and their questions were mainly about the external, internal structure of the planet and the atmospheric phenomena that happened on the surface. While people that were familiar with astronomy expressed more elaborate questions, mainly about space exploration. It is very important that visually impaired people had very positive comments and mentioned that Planets in Your Hand exhibition gave them for the first time a sense of what a planetary surface feels like, and the scale of the mountains and the craters and the phenomena on the surface. And also, it is mentionable that people with scientific background tried to combine the knowledge from their scientific field with the information provided by the members of the Planets in Your Hand team during the presentation. So we concluded that it is possible to create an educational activity that can address people of all ages and scientific background, because the members could present differently the planetary model according to the audience they had in front of them. So according to what we discussed, the exhibition is a pleasant and memorable experience, as the visitors said, and it is based on the interaction of the visitor, the planetary model, and the presenter himself. It attracts individuals that have no previous interaction with the field of astronomy, and at the same time it brings together people who are already interested or contribute to science. It is also very important for us because it was one of the main goals of this project, that it is accessible to visually impaired people, and it encourages and inspires the community to create similar activities with the hope to lead to a science communication that is socially equal for all. So thank you very much. This is the website and the social media of our project. And if you have any questions, we are happy to answer.
Thank you.
Kosmas, Maria, thank you. That was really interesting. And I think you make a really good point there that we probably don't think about that much, that just because you're making resources for the visually impaired or for any other group with a disability doesn't mean that you rule out the rest of us that are perhaps more fortunate by sort of putting us to one side. So that's really, really important. We have a couple of things in the question and answer, which I'll try and throw at you now in the last couple of minutes or so. So Sarah Abotsi Masters has posted a couple of things in the Q&A saying that you have a great project, but she wanted some clarification about the models of the gas planets. So she's saying is that the model is a solid one. So how do you then go about mentioning or discussing the atmosphere around it? And her second question, which I think you can probably answer at the same time, is again from Sarah, just asking about how accurate the models are in terms of scale and whether the surface features are true or whether they are just a representation.
Well, talking about the atmosphere of its planet, we basically focus on the surface itself, which is the ground on terrestrial planets, and the gaseous environment of the gaseous planets. So we give it as an additional information to the visitor in order to tell them that, for example, Mars has some thin atmosphere, or Mercury doesn't have any atmosphere at all. But we focus mainly on the surface itself. For example, we don't give any representation of satellites or rings. In Saturn, for example, we focus on the surface. The second question was about what was this about? The second question?
Yeah, just whether the surface features that you put on your models are real.
Accuracy in scale. Yeah, the scale was accurate enough because we were based on actual images like those that I showed you here. Basically, the scale that we give on the frame is accurate in terms of while touching something with a known size like a car or a building, as I said. It gives the actual scale of a height of a mountain or the depth of a crater or the size of a crater. So it is accurate enough, I would say.
Good.
And you can also feel the difference in temperature and wind in gaseous planets. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, for the temperature, we added some resistors, some electrical resistors, so you can feel the difference in temperature. It's hot and cold in Mercury. The wind environments with fans, small fans or big fans. The cool and the cold actually on the gaseous planets were added by adding dry ice. So you can have really cold wind on Neptune, for example. And for example, Jupiter with a red spot, this actually you can see it on the picture that the structure is not flat. You can actually feel the atmospheric turbulence with your fingertips.
Okay, that's great. I think that's answered everything we need. That's really good stuff. We really enjoyed that, and lots of talks going. Lots of things going through the chat of people that enjoyed what you said. We're going to have to leave it there. Everyone has your contact details, so I'm sure you'll be hearing from people afterwards.
Feel free to contact us with the social media. Just Google planets in your hand, and you will find us.
Thank you very much, Fausto.